In today's lesson, I want to look at understanding goal orientation and students' learning behaviors. And this is critical because number one, it helps in addressing issues with the learning behaviors of certain students, which may not really be helping. And also, number two, it helps to shape the approach of students to the learning process. So, there are many factors that will determine the effectiveness of your learning behaviors as a student. And that will include your motivation levels, your goal orientation, the teaching strategies that are adopted by your tutors, and the learning environment that is created, whether or not it fosters specific learning orientations or not, and whether generally it is able to help you as a student to study well. The goal orientation element, however, is one of the fundamental issues that determines your approach to the learning process. And once you understand it, it helps you to adopt key learning styles and key learning approaches that can help you become a better student. What is goal orientation? Goal orientation can be described as your attitude and approach towards achieving specific objectives or targets that you've set for yourself. So we can also say that your goal orientation reflects how you perceive and pursue your goals, most often based on the nature of your task, related expectations, and motivations. And when you understand your goal orientation, or if you're a parent or educator, if you understand the goal orientation of your student or your child, it can also help you to build proper learning behaviors for them and understand or identify necessary areas of change and improvement. Now, we can classify goal orientation in various directions. One, we can classify goal orientations based on the source of the student's motivation in their pursuit of achieving specific targets. And so we talk about the intrinsic goal orientation and the extrinsic goal orientation. So we see that reflected in being intrinsically motivated and or being extrinsically motivated. So the first classification we'll look at is based on the source of the student's motivation that drives their goal pursuits in school. And the second area of classification is based on how the student perceives and responds to the challenges related to their schoolwork or education and the efforts that are needed, as well as their achievements as a student. So in this case, we talk about the performance goal orientation and the mastery goal orientation. We'll describe or explain these ones and how they relate to students' learning behaviors as we move. Now, intrinsic goal orientation refers to the pursuit of goals for the inherent satisfaction, the personal satisfaction and enjoyment that is derived from engaging in specific activities that can help you achieve your main targets. So if we say a student is intrinsically motivated or they have intrinsic goal orientation, it means that they pursue the activities, the tasks that are related to their academic work or journey for the fact that they will be personally satisfied, they will be personally fulfilled in doing that, and they will enjoy the process, for instance, of going to class, joining group discussions, and all. Students with a high intrinsic goal orientation are most often motivated to learn for the pleasure of it, and they are more likely to engage in activities that will align with their personal passions and interest in their educational journey. And students with intrinsic goal orientation also, as a result, find personal fulfillment in the process of learning, in the process of taking assessments, and other extracurricular activities that are connected to their journey as students. They are personally motivated, internally driven to achieve their goals through activities that oftentimes they are personally interested in enjoying. On the other hand, extrinsic goal orientation involves pursuing goals because of external rewards or in order to avoid the negative consequences that may come if you don't pursue them. And so these external factors, the rewards, the recognition they will get, and all that become incentives for putting in effort, and their motivation to learn or perform at a certain level may therefore diminish if those external rewards or incentives are no longer present, or they perceive those incentives as not being sufficient. So the extrinsic goal orientation and intrinsic goal orientation are the first classification of goal orientation we want to look at. The second component, we talk about the mastery goal orientation and the performance goal orientation. Now, individuals with mastery goal orientation concentrate on developing themselves and mastering new skills and understanding the content that they are supposed to learn. So when you talk about students that have a mastery goal orientation, you realize that there is the bit of the intrinsic goal orientation infused in them. So they are more intrinsically oriented or motivated, and their goal is that they want to master the subject content, and they want to improve, and they want to acquire deeper knowledge in the subject areas that they are exposed to. So the topics that are taken, the courses, the subject, their goal is to get deeper in them and master the things for personal improvement rather than just for gaining specific grades. And students with mastery orientation may therefore view challenges as opportunities to grow. And whenever they make mistakes, they get poor grades and all that, they take that as an opportunity for them to do better, knowing that they are learning not just for good grades or bad grades, but because it helps them to become better in the process of making adjustments. And one thing about the mastery oriented student is that they care less what other students are getting in terms of their performance, and they are more focused on improving themselves. So for the most part, they are interested in whether or not I'm making progress rather than whether or not I'm performing better than other students. Because at the end of the day, as we'll see in a moment, if the goal is performance oriented, even if you are not performing at a high level that your abilities can get you to, but you are doing better than other colleagues, you may think that that is fine because you are performance oriented. But the mastery oriented student will focus on getting better, knowing that they can do better even though their performances may be better than other colleagues. So performance goal oriented students, their focus is on demonstrating their competence relative to other students and or meeting specific defined standards for academic success. So their whole idea is that, am I the first in class? Am I doing better than this student? So they are always checking, hey, which students got this grade? And that is their focus. They just want to get better grades than other students. And they want to meet certain standards that are said to be the criteria for academic success. And so if they are not able to meet that, it becomes a challenge to them and they may not put in more effort. And the individuals that are performance oriented, as I mentioned, they measure their learning progress in comparison to other students, and they see any mistakes or failure in subjects, in quizzes and all that, as a threat to their self-esteem and how others will therefore see them. This orientation will cause them to be looking out for opportunities just to get a good grade, even if it means chewing or cheating their way into getting a very good grade to move to the next level. Now, one important caveat to note is that students or individuals in this sense may not necessarily just be either intrinsically oriented or extrinsically oriented, or performance oriented and at the other end mastery oriented. Individuals can have a combination of both intrinsic and extrinsic orientations when it comes to goals, and they can also as well have performance and mastery goal orientations. So as a student, you can have this combination of these specific to certain contexts, certain subjects and all that. So these goal orientations can coexist within an individual, and the context or task that they are given can influence which orientation is dominant. And it is also sometimes on a continuum or on a certain scale, where, for instance, someone like me is mastery oriented and intrinsically oriented for that matter. But then there are instances where I'm high on that scale and a bit low on the performance and extrinsic motivation scale. So that can happen. And so you find that this balance in how our goal orientations are, how your goal orientation is as a student, can lead you to becoming a more excellent and flexible student. Now, how is goal orientation connected to the learning strategies that students use? This is where we'll be ending. I'll share a few thoughts in that regard. Now, with performance goal orientations, you realize that students that are performance oriented, they use a lot of memorization, what some will say chew and pour. So those who are high on performance goal orientation, they do a lot of memorization. They want to prioritize memorizing as a strategy to achieve quick and accurate results when it comes to their school assessments and performance. And their focus, as we mentioned earlier, is the grade and whether or not they will do better than other students. So what can I do to get this grade, as quick as possible without so much effort into learning and the whole exertions thereon. And they also, number two, prioritize surface level learning approaches or strategies. So they like wouldn't want to go so deep. So some of these students may just focus on solving past questions, for instance, and then trying to dig out which of the questions may be appearing often and may appear in the exam, and then focus attention on that. And when the exam comes, they go in there, and the one that comes, they give it. So that is their approach. And then the number three, they avoid challenges. So tasks that appear to be challenging or require a lot of thinking, they want to avoid it. And with such students in school, you may find at the university, for instance, some students will choose courses within their programs of study that will help them get quick A's rather than struggle through the courses. They don't want to stress themselves, so to speak. They want courses that require lesser demanding activities, and when you go in there, your grades, for instance, the A's are assured for the most part. And I'm sure some of these students, or you are one of them. Now, connected to the mastery orientation and learning strategies, you find that such students, their focus, as we said, is on mastery, and they are intrinsically motivated. They are doing it because it will help them become better students and they will know their stuff. So they emphasize elaborative and deep learning strategies. They engage in what we call elaborative learning, elaboration. So really their focus is on having a deep understanding of their subject materials. So whether it is mathematics, it is English and all that, they expand the examples. They want to get more examples. They want to try other formulas. They want to go deeper, so that at the end of the day, even when they get into the exam room, it won't just be reproducing really what has been taught just so that they can get the grade that is needed, but just for their personal improvement and the fact that they have become thorough in that particular topic, they will go deeper and learn further. So they elaborate on materials using specific learning engagements, going for group discussions, going online, reading articles, getting further information that expands their understanding beyond what was taught. They enjoy or engage in a lot of critical thinking and analytical skills. Their focus is that the concepts and principles that are taught, can I be able to explain it beyond just using what has been said. They also involve in a lot of critical thinking, and that explains the bit about elaborative and deep level learning style that they adopt. They employ critical thinking and analytical skills in their learning, and their focus is to understand the concepts and principles, just as we mentioned, rather than just meeting performance criteria. They don't want to sound intelligent just among their friends. No, they want to engage their friends during group discussions. They want to engage the teachers at a level where they are bringing in other scenarios, for instance, relative to a particular conversation in class, just to see whether that would also make sense. They bring in other formulas, other approaches, and they want to be sure if that can also be a useful way of going. And finally, they are very persistent and they put in a lot of effort. And whether or not they fail, it does not stop them from progressing in their learning and adopting new approaches. In the face of challenges in school with academic work and performance, they persevere. Remember, because they are more intrinsically oriented and their focus is on not on really, yes, performance grades and all that are important, but their focus is not on the fact that because I didn't receive praise from my teacher, next time I'll not raise my hand to talk. Because my parents, they did not give me a reward, for getting this grade, next time, I don't really care about my performance. No, whether or not they receive external rewards or incentives, or whether or not they make a good grade, they are focused on pushing and using their difficulties and mistakes as opportunities for learning and improvement. Now, as I mentioned early on, there can be a combination of these goal orientations. And as I mentioned, some individuals are more high on specific orientations, whether mastery-oriented goal orientation and intrinsic goal orientation, or performance goal orientation and extrinsic goal orientation. Now, if you have a balance in these areas, it can help you as a student to be more flexible. So in subjects where you find difficulty, you may adopt a performance approach where it is just about memorizing, doing what it takes to pass the exams or the test, just because you are struggling a lot to get it. So for maths, for instance, students that struggle with it, maybe you have attempted, friends teach you and all that, but it's difficult to understand the basis for the formula. Just focus on how to apply the formula in solving certain questions. So in that case, you are using a performance oriented goal approach. And in other instances where you probably, in English, in social studies and all that, in chemistry, you may want to use a mastery orientation. So specific tasks and the context within which you find yourself for academic related work can influence your approach, and being balanced can help you to be a better student. So you maintain your mastery orientation, which is a better orientation. You maintain an intrinsic goal orientation, which is also a better orientation to have. And if you are not in that category, you can work on that. I will discuss that in a different video. And you can also work on combining, as I said, memorization or surface level learning approaches, repetition, rehearsing, memorizing, and critical thinking or deep level learning strategies like the elaboration that we talk about. So if you can strategically use both the surface level learning strategies and the deep level learning strategies, I'm sure that it can help you to navigate your journey as a student.